Hello y'all, welcome back to another video dedicated to help you break out of the cycle of toxic behaviors and relationships in your personal and romantic area of your life. My name is Coach Jeanette from Internet.Exito, and if you like anything personal development, make sure you hit subscribe and join the tribe. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the problem with using guilt as a motivator. I'm going to split this video up into 3 parts. 1, the problem with using guilt as a motivator. 2, why it's not sustainable. And 3, what you should do instead. So make sure you watch to the end so you know what to do instead. Now, a lot of us who are used to using guilt as a motivator probably have been guilted by our parents or caregivers growing up. So I'm going to take it back to my roots a little bit, and if you also grew up in an immigrant household, you probably heard some of these things growing up. Why did you get a B instead of an A? Are you sure you want to eat that? It looks like you're getting a little fat. Why don't you want to help me out? I'm family. Do you not love me enough? Well, if you do nothing, then you're going to grow old, no one's going to want you, and you're going to fail. Now, if you're so used to hearing guilt as a motivation to do things, you are training your mind to act out of fear. And I know, a lot of this isn't our fault. We grew up hearing this, we grew up experiencing this, and most likely you've adapted that same mindset to motivate yourself to do things now in your day-to-day life. So maybe at work or in your school, you're thinking, oh my goodness, if I don't complete this assignment and get 100, then I'm gonna fail. I'm not gonna be a good student. I'm gonna let down my parents. Or, oh, if I don't get this project in, my boss is gonna hate me. I'm gonna get laid off. And the thoughts that are associated to using guilt as a motivator is always negative, but not negative to others, but to ourselves. So this means self-doubt, low self-esteem, not feeling good about ourselves, thinking that everything's our fault, there's something wrong with us, we're incompetent, and we're literally rewiring these wounds of feeling as if we're not doing good enough in order to be enough. When you have a wound of feeling not enough, there is no one thing that will actually make you feel enough, because there's always going to be goals, there's always going to be something better, and you're going to find yourself going in that loop of never feeling like you're enough and doing things to prove that you're enough. And this comes with a lot of performance, a lot of feeling like you need to prove yourself in order to be quote unquote good enough, because inevitably the guilt will lead to burnout. I want you to look at it this way. This is usually how it plays out right here. Number 1, you feel guilty, you feel like you're not doing enough, and so you try to overcompensate by putting so much on your plate, and quite honestly, it's unrealistic. And so you feel overwhelmed by the amount of things that you put on your plate, so you don't accomplish them, and when you don't accomplish them, you feel even worse about yourself, because now you're rewiring that wound that I'm not good enough, because if I was good enough, I would be able to do everything. So in order to feel better, there's a couple of coping mechanisms that people usually do, which is continuously guilt themselves. They self-sabotage, they burn out because it's not possible for them to do all of this. They project, they victimize themselves and blame the world, or they just freeze, ghost, give up on everything and tell themselves, I can't do this. And after a while, because you have that wound of feeling like you're not good enough, you'd want to do something about it. And when those urges come back to prove that you are good enough, you will try to overcompensate and continue that cycle over and over again. In order to break that cycle, we need to get to the root of the issue and resolve that wound of I'm not good enough. And instead of guilting yourself to do things because we all know it's not sustainable, we need to do something else instead, which is come from a place of compassion. So we want to meet in the middle ground, right? We want that accountability and we want to do better, but we don't want to guilt ourselves to the point of feeling like we're on this hamster wheel. And so in order to do both, you need compassion. This means recognizing you're human, know that people make mistakes. This means being okay with not having things perfect. And this means giving yourself grace and not putting so much on your plate to the point where it's unrealistic. The next time you find yourself guilting yourself to motivate yourself, I want you to take a step back, write down all the things that you need to do, and ask yourself, is the amount of things that you're telling yourself to do realistic? Is there too much on your plate? And if it is, make sure that you treat yourself like your best friend and not put so much on your plate. And the second thing that you want to do is you want to recognize how far you've already come. Being serious, when was the last time you actually took time to think about how far you've actually come? When was the last time that you celebrated those minor wins instead of skipping over them and telling yourself that's normal? I have a feeling that you've probably been doing that all your life. And remember, healing that wound of I am enough means showing yourself that you are enough and not tying your sense of worth to merit, accomplishment, and performance. There are more things to life than that, and there are other areas of your life that you can focus on. And as a relationship coach, guilting yourself doesn't only manifest in the career or productivity area of your life. It can also show up in your relationships where you're feeling guilty that you're not doing enough, so you overcompensate and people please and you become codependent. And this usually leads to a lot of toxic behaviors and unhealthy relationships. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click the video here. Hope this helps. Follow for more, and as always, you got this.